Is this not why you are here?
Gonzaga, are we good?
We're live.
All right, we are back. This is Prime Minds. You all know who it is. We are streaming live on YouTube, and you are with. There's 4 of us today. Gonzaga, by the dip, Vita G, and of course, this is your boy King Dav. Unfortunately, the fifth member of our boy band, Z Mackin, is not here. He's off in the woods, tripping somewhere on a backpacking adventure. So we wish him the best, and he'll be back with us next Saturday. Today, I know all of y'all know we have the one and only Johnny Casamassina joining us, but we'll get to him in a second. Guys, we talk about what's going on. We talk about real life, and there's blood in these streets, right? I'm not talking about Massina right now. I'm not talking about Champions Ascension. I'm talking about IRL, blood in these streets. If you're listening to this show right now, obviously you're probably into NFTs. Definitely had to get into crypto to get into NFTs. And we're all looking at it. We're all feeling it. We all bring kind of different perspectives, different expertise to this space. I'm a little bit of a crypto investor. I don't know exactly what's going on with crypto market as a whole, the economy, the stock market, all of the above. But we're going to talk about it anyway. Anyway, boys, how you guys feeling? You know that there's a big dip in the market. But how you feeling today, the Saturday morning, and on this podcast?
Hey, this is By the Dip. I'm still bullish, man. Yeah, we are in a crypto bear market. We're in a bear market overall. But as we know, and we'll probably get into this later, as the Fed raises rates up, people are going to try to secure that bag, man. So, unfortunately, I think this is going to last a little longer than we think.
We'll get into a little bit. Vita, what's going on with you?
Hey, good morning. This is Vita G. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's been a long week, just in general. So I'm feeling like a little bit mentally fogged from work, but I am, this podcast is a shining ray of sunshine in my week. I'm happy to be here. This dip in the crypto markets has been a little soul crushing for me, to be quite honest. Nobody likes to see their assets plunge so fast, so quick. So I'm kind of just holding on right now and, trying to think of, what strategies to employ to best hold on. But
Right.
It's been scary, man.
It is, man. Crypto's like stock market on steroids, man. But yeah, we'll get into it a little bit. Gonzaga, how you feeling today?
Hey, good morning. Feeling great. Honestly, I haven't really been paying attention to all of the drama going on. Been keeping my head down, working on a new game with LT. He's a fellow guild member from the Prime Syndicate. It's like a card game. So I've just been busting my ass on that. And I've seen some people chat about, some of the dip going on, but it's not my space. So feeling great.
Right. I feel you. Shout out to LT, Prime Syndicate, the whole CA community, Champions Ascension community, a lot of creative people. And we just getting together, making some games, making things happen, right? And that's why this podcast is coming to all of you right now. But yeah, a little bit about the market, man. The market as a whole, Dip got into it a little bit. Every time the Fed announces an interest rate hike, it looks like the whole stock market takes a dip. Of course, crypto is its own thing, but it's technology. It's people put their money in there to watch it grow. And if folks are afraid, they're going to take it out. They're going to put it somewhere else. Dip, you got a little bit of perspective on some of that. And I know your name is By the Dip, and we're in a big dip right now, but you still got to be wise, man. A little perspective on what's going on here.
Yeah, definitely. Be very careful. Me, honestly, and this is my honest opinion, this is not financial advice, I am cash heavy. Just because all crypto does follow technology. So if you watch the S&P 500, S&P 500's needed a correction for a long time, ever since going into 2020. It did have a little crash going into 2020, then it went all the way up to, I want to say 460, almost to 490, right? So there was definitely a correction needed, and this is just a small correction, I believe. I believe it's going to go down to 340. That's just me. But
What are you talking about, ETH?
I'm talking about SPY. And once that goes down, all technology follows it, right? All crypto follows technology. NFTs follow crypto. So it's all in line together. I would always watch because I think the Fed's going to do like at least 2 or 3 more hikes this year. So really just be watchful because every time they do that, it's just consistency, guys. Human behavior. People want to liquidate. People, want to be cash heavy. So just be careful out there. Follow the news on the Fed. Listen to what they're doing, and the rumors of what they're doing. They're saying 50 BPS hike rate, but then this time they did like a 0.75, and they're thinking of doing a 0.75 indefinitely. So just look out for stuff like that.
Some more of those announcements coming, and if people want to move their money, they're going to move it, and things might still take a dip. And I think that's why it's important to get into projects you believe in, get into the technology of a project, not just the hype, right? Because the mass hysteria, if there's all hype, it works both ways. Hype will make it go to the moon, and mass hysteria will make that shit just rug. Right. So you gotta be confident in the technology, confident in the project, and I think that's why we're here in CA.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
There was a quote from Zero Cool too, and I think along those same lines. Zero put in the Discord. He said, and I quote, "We're still here. We're still building. The key is to keep building in this market." I love that he said that. I mean, even if it takes a dip, like Gonzaga just said, he's not even looking at that for the most part. Honestly, I'm not neither. I mean, just a little bit of words of wisdom is, I'm not a professional investor or anything, so I'm not putting anything in, and I'm not even putting anything into CA that I can't afford to lose, right? And I think that's just the key to this. Like, either way, no matter what you do, it's a risk. Even if you were into the tech stocks, FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, you're taking a loss, right? And everybody thought that was just the golden stocks to be in. You can't really invest in anything you can't afford to lose. That's just a key to life moving forward. But guys, without further ado, we have a special guest, and I think we could dive into everything a little bit with Johnny Casamassina. We're going to bring him up right now, and I know he's what everybody's been waiting for, so can't wait to vibe with him.
Johnny!
Bringing up Johnny
Casamassina.
What's up, Prime Minds? What's happening, guys?
What's up, Johnny?
What's up, Johnny?
The man, the myth, the legend. Hey, I'm sorry to start this show off in such a bleak tone, man, but you know what's going on in here. It's not a secret, right?
Yeah, no worry.
Chime in, man. How are you feeling about this market overall? And are you, like, I'm sure that you're the leader of a game that's on the Web3, and I'm sure you're into crypto, but give us a little bit of perspective to start out. What are you thinking about the market and crypto in general?
Yeah, no, just listening to you guys kind of, in the waiting room, waiting to come up, like, you guys have very astute kind of assumptions, at least in my opinion. And I think, at the end of the day, yeah, they're sure NFTs, crypto, the markets themselves, they're all facing some rough times right now. But at the end of the day, like, I'll say this, like, making games 20 years, we're heading into the summer. And for me, at least for me, summer is about 3 things. It's barbecues, surfing, or your recommended water sport or outside activity. And for those of us in game development, the summer means really one thing, and always has for a long time, and that's build phase. Summer has always been our biggest build phase because we're trying to get things. Traditionally, going back years ago, we were trying to get things ready for the holiday season, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of people, they're active in the summer too, so they don't have as much time, right, to worry about this or that. It's a good time of the year. So for those of us in games, this is where we can really get our heavy loads in, our heavy work in, and really go to town and build the products. And you guys have said it before I even jumped on. That's the plan. We're going to be building, and we're always going to be building. So That's going to be the key for us to come out of this. For any projects, really, I think is going to be the utility side and the functional side of like, what are you actually getting? Like, yeah, you have collectibles, but for us, it's going to be more than that, right? This project is about more than just a PFP.
Yeah, we love the project. That's why we're here. And you said yourself just now, you've been in gaming for 20 years. Take us through that process, right? We talked to Ice Toad a couple weeks ago, and he had a wonderful journey to Champions Ascension. Take us through your gaming process. What made you want to get into games in the first place? What games have you worked on? And what takeaways do you have that helped you come up with this game here?
Yeah, man, it's been a long journey, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I came out, I kind of fell into games. I played games my whole life. I grew up gaming. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up, really with an Atari and a television remote in my hands on a really tiny television. That escalated into the Nintendo and Genesis and PC games. And gaming has always been a massive part of my life, as you guys have heard many times from everybody else. But for me, it was, I don't know how to say it. I love playing the games, but I always was really interested in like what defined, it being a fun experience. As a kid, right, you would always hear one or two things. That game is awesome, or that game fucking sucks. That was the review, right?
Yep.
So like for me, I was always like, I started even at a young age, kind of like thinking like, but what makes this game awesome? What makes this game suck? And that really started kind of the information collection on that would go into my career. When I came out to California, roughly 20, 25 years ago, I was out here to kind of be in entertainment business. I was, kind of doing comedy. I was doing stand-up and sketch comedy in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard. And that's a tough racket. I don't know if anybody, listening in like has ever tried that. That's, you come out, you try to do your best. You get out there. Some nights you do great. Other nights you bomb, what's called bomb. But one thing you're not doing is you're not making any money. I can tell you that, at least early on. So, at some point I had to make money and got into, again, as a gamer my whole life, I'm like, hey, all the gaming companies are out here, at least at that time. And I really started in the ground floor of the business, man. I applied to be a game tester. My first job was actually at Activision in what they call the dungeon, which is kind of the beloved term used to describe the QA floor at Activision in Santa Monica, the original Activision headquarters. And I was a night shift game tester, meaning my shift would start like around 1 a.m. and end around 8, 9 a.m. in the morning. And the first game I ever tested was the classic True Crime Streets of LA.
Oh, I love that game.
And it's funny. I actually specialized in what they call speed playthroughs, because at that time, you had to actually generate a save file for the rest of the testers to test various bugs that were happening throughout all phases of the game that the developers were fixing. So, I got it down to a science where I could basically beat that game and produce the full save file for all the other testers on the floor within 2 hours. So basically before, break or lunch, everybody on the test floor would have their save file. And I parlayed that in the years over, various, testing roles. I really worked my way up. I've kind of done everything from there, right into, some low-line scripting and programming, art, design, production, project management. I owned my own company for a while called Virtual Prophecy Entertainment, which we specialized in casual PC downloadable titles. And then came back out here to California about 12 years ago and really started in free to play. And the rest has been history. I came to Jam City 6 years ago, really with a mission to kind of elevate the creative process at that company. And it's been a great ride. And the current project is Champions Ascension. And probably one of the things I'm most proud about and most excited to be a part of in that entire 20 years of gaming. I can't think of anything I've actually been more excited to be a part of than this project.
Mm-hmm. And other games that you worked on, what some other games you worked on? Is there anything from those other games, takeaways that help you make Champions Ascension such a success while you're working on this current game here?
Yeah, I think both the successes and failures of the past, right? Like again, I've been very fortunate to kind of see the gaming business and game design evolve. Sometimes in a very positive direction, sometimes in a very negative direction over the years. And I think in all honesty, there's really two things that have two specific things that have come along with that. One is kind of the knowledge that regardless of whatever I don't want to use the term gimmick, but whatever the new kind of hook is, and in our case, right, it's a Web3 project, meaning it's a play and earn project. NFTs are involved. I think at the core of that new gimmick is it allows you guys to come in and be investors and partners in the project and earn from your engagement and your investment. But at the end of the day, what needs to go along with that? In every phase of the business, it's really been that it has to be a fun game. Eventually, guys, fun games are gonna begin to dominate the Web3 space. Mm-hmm. Because a game that is fun and you can earn is gonna trump a game that you can earn and is going back to our reviews from 40 years ago, the game that just sucks to play. So that I think that's first and foremost, and then secondly, and I have to give a nod to some of my crew here. I've been really fortunate over the years to work with these just icons, legends in the gaming business. You guys have talked to many of them, had them on your show. You've heard AMAs, you've seen them active in the Discord, guys like Ryder Ryan or Ice Toad, and a lot of other, amazing people like Chris Trammell, who was mentioned, who we just brought into the project. And several others. These are relationships that I've built over the years and have brought them along with me on this ride, and they're just as stoked as I am. And I think that's the other big part of being around for a while is you get to bring some really solid folks with you.
So you brought the dream team, huh, Johnny? You got the dream team together for this one? That's what it seems like to us.
Yeah, I mean this. I really can't understate working with these guys on a daily basis and just kind of bouncing ideas around. It is, again, 20 years game development. I've been on some projects that are a lot of fun, a lot of projects that just are terrible, in terms of it's more of a job. And I'm sure you guys know what I mean by that. And in some case, everyone's had a job where they just had to get through it. And then there's something, different than that. And this, at least in this project with this group of people, and we keep adding to that group, by the way. I mean, we just brought in some more phenomenal, just amazing folks. It's less of a job, it becomes really fun. It becomes this really what you want.
The passion.
The passion, exactly. It's there. And the creative process, and you guys are a part of that. So I don't want to understate that. One thing that I can tell you about this group of developers that's very different than your mainstay, and again, I don't want to. This is not to stereotype developers in the mainstay, but developers are a little bit of a closed loop type of group. Often, they don't want a lot of people up in their shit. Often, they don't want to really hear from anybody and collaborate. But I think. Another thing that makes the group that I have is they're very collaborative and they're so excited to hear from you guys. And when you guys throw out ideas or things, everybody is listening. And that becomes part of our daily discussions. And, there's a lot of effort that's put into kind of elevating that and trying to take it seriously because this is your guys' game just as much as it's ours. And that's what makes it a different kind of project for us. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, and from the words of Zero Cool, what he says, this could be the biggest game ever. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, right? Is when you build a brand, because there's a game, right? And I think I've said this a couple times, the game is definitely first and foremost in our minds. It's where we come from, but we also have, something special in the sense that like we're trying to build a brand as well. And I think when you have those two things, and then you also have, some of the elements of the timing of this space kind of just really in its infant stages. You have the reluctancy for a lot of other larger skilled development houses to kind of stick their feet into the water, so to speak, because they're, afraid or they're not ready for it. Like the stars are kind of aligning for us in a way where, it's one thing to make a hit. It's one thing to make a successful product. It's another thing to make something that is timed right. And it's even another thing to make something that resonates beyond the core product, which, this is an NFT gaming project. But as I said, a brand, it's really hard to do all those things at once. But if you can do all those things at once, if the stars align, it can be massive, right? And I think, you guys, there's little nuggets, right? Like when we drop something like a game leak, as an example, Ice Toad loves dropping those leaks on you guys, and Ryan loves dropping our lore every week. Like when you have people that are really stoked and at the ready to like read that stuff or look at that stuff and speculate as you guys do, like that's that little special something when you feel it, you have that. I'm very confident that the team is going to be able to deliver a fantastic game. And we have big plans, as we've told you guys. We've shown you guys. We're going to show you a little bit more, maybe even today. But yeah, I mean, it can be as big as you can imagine. And again, I think you guys and this show is an extension of that. Like, there's a million games out there. I don't think every single one of them has, really that potential, though. I think this one does. Right.
We see it. And just listening to you, it sounds like you as well have a wide breadth of experience. I found out that Ice Toad had a wide experience as well in advertising and in writing, fiction writing. And then you with comedy, things like that, right? Doing just a big, big wide range of things. And I'm wondering, it seems like there's a lot of creativity there with everybody. And then you have writer Ryan, who, we looked him up and he just has an amazing resume. Can't wait to dive into that with him. But it seems like there's a lot of storytellers in the group, a lot of great creative minds. And we're wondering, and I think we heard a little bit about it, that the lore has a lot to do with the development of the game. But really, talk a little bit about the lore and how that, creates the game. And then how do all you work together? Like, and I know it might be a little bit hard to explain, but that workflow between you, writer Ryan, Zero Cool, Ice Toad, and then all the creative and brilliant people on the team.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. So I've made the statement before, and I'll try to go a little deeper on it. But the lore for us is everything. You said that we're storytellers. We are. This group of individuals we have working on this project, at least on the creative side, they are, all of us are fiction writers, and in some right, myself, I've written a fair amount in the past. I've written comedy. I've done a lot of that. Ryan, as you saw, is incredible. All these people that we have. We just added Kim Hamilton to that group. She's an illustrious writing career as well. So I think like the way we start building the brand or something that you guys that will really relay and resonate with you guys is that. So, and it's not just writing the stories. It's not just like when I say lore is in everything. It's not the story per se. It's what's behind that story. It's, whenever you guys see something, even if it's in an image, there's a story behind that. Whenever you guys see a piece of key art, there's a story behind that. Whenever you guys see, any aspect of the leaks that we drop, there's a story behind that. And the value in that is that it carries a little bit more weight. There's a little bit more meaning behind everything. And I think like when you're trying to brand build, really, that's what you have to do. I think there's projects that can achieve that just with the very bare minimum, right? But again, this market is evolving quickly. and there's going to be 10 million PFP projects, by the end of next year. Like, if you guys think there's a lot now, there's going to be 10 million more by the end of next year, to separate ourselves from that, we're always going to kind of dive back into what our strengths are, and storytelling is one of those things. I think the way that always the seed of the creative process for us. I think beyond that, like how we interface with the rest of the groups, you mentioned Zero, and Zero kind of runs, a little bit of the business unit, behind the game and how the game is going to successfully achieve its goals as a product and stand up as a product. And that is always a fun interaction, right? Because it's what I call the intersection of art and science, right? He brings a lot of that science to the table, in terms of, how does this functionally make sense from a utility standpoint? Does it mathematically make sense? Is this going to be something that you guys, that we can viably accomplish without upsetting the balance, of the game and the universe that we're trying to create?
Yeah. I see equations around Zero Cool's head when he's talking, like that meme with that lady, just equations and things floating around everywhere, right? Is that what he looks like in real life? Is it equations floating around his head?
You guys have no idea. It's not. If the equations are in his head, then he shows them to all us, and we're like, "Look, dude, we don't. We believe you. We basically just we and I think I mean, you guys probably can assume this, or have heard this. Like there's a help, right? And there has to be on a project like this, at that intersection of art and science, there has to be that healthy tension. Zero is going to tell us, no, we can't do that, and then I'll do it anyway. And then we push back. We say, look, no, that like we need to have this, and then he goes back and I say, go back and do another equation, dude, right? And like and then he'll figure out how to make it work for the benefit of what we're trying to do, and then vice versa, right? He'll say, hey, look, we need this for the game. We need something like this. Let's just say, I'll throw it out there, right? Like, we need something to protect the cap of the economy. Basically a player's escalation in power. We need something to protect, and we need it to be, X, Y, Z. He gives us parameters, right? And then we will basically come back and say, okay, cool. This is what our idea is. Does this work, right? It's a weapon system, right? That's going to be built from the bones and the essence of your of fallen champions, right? And then there's a collaboration that happens there, and then ultimately that gets cut into a plan. And I think that's a little bit of how it works. And there's days where it's clicking and everything is perfect, and then there's days where it's like a little bit more difficult, right? But that's the story of game development.
And Johnny, I just had a question on, kind of that lore and art and the world building, right? Like you all are creating this very rich world, both graphically and through the narrative. But you're largely credited as like the godfather of Massina, right? Like this, from what we've heard, like this is your idea. You kind of initiated this. So what was that process like? How did you come up with this? We've got some dragons, some undead people, fighters. We've got this human emperor who has these mysterious powers. Like, how did you come up with this?
Yeah, man. I mean, my head is going back to one of the first questions that you guys asked me. Is like, like, what do I bring with me? Like, I bring with me like 40 years of influences, that really land at center for me. And this probably dovetails in a little bit more something else, which is, when I first kind of was I'm the head of design for one of the largest free-to-play development and publishing companies in the Western world. We've been very successful. We've been very fortunate. Why the fuck did we jump into NFTs and crypto, right? And I think a little bit of what you're asking me kind of starts there, which is, you see some of these interest patterns start to shift, right? And I've always been a collector. and you start hearing about crypto, and you start really hearing about NFTs like heavily in the last couple of years. It's been around for, for whatever, 5, 6, 7 years at this point, maybe even more. But really started to become a presence in the last year or two. And NFTs in particular, my initial reaction to it was probably like a lot of people, And I'm going to be completely honest, right? It was kind of like what is this bullshit? Like now, now these motherfuckers want me to start collecting, digital bullshit. Like what is this? And I think that's like we can all be honest. Like maybe some of you are a little bit more, don't have a bias like that. But I'm fine saying that I did. And believe me, you're talking to somebody who's got racks and racks of comic books and baseball cards and a bunch of other shit that that is filling up my house that I'm never going to do anything with except be satisfied the fact that I own it, that it's mine, that I can give it to my kids and pass it on.
Yeah.
But it's my responsibility as the head of design and somebody who proclaims that he's wants to be innovative and push the envelope. Like when something like that presents itself to me, the difference is when I have a reaction like that, I actually force myself or I steel myself to kind of look at it from another perspective and understand it. Like this is, as a kid, like it sucks, it's great. Well, why? Like some people are interested in this. This is clearly something. Why? I've had to do this multiple times in my career. And I think, it was that initial kind of like challenge that started to get me to really think about this and think about it also as an opportunity for Jam City. And I think, ultimately too, our founders and our C-level executives, they had an interest here. Aber Whitcomb, who's the CTO, he's been very heavily in the tech space and looking into crypto for a while now. Josh and Chris, our other two founders, definitely wanted to think about crypto. So it started there for me. Is I needed to figure out this challenge, like the answer to this challenge. Like why are people into this? And Ice Toad loves this story. Like I was thinking about it and researching, and I learned as much as I could. And I kind of needed a break from all that research, and it was late at night at this point, and my family had gone to sleep. So to relax, violence relaxes me. This is the line that Ice Toad loved. Violence relaxes me. So I put on, one of my favorite films, which was 300, and I watched that, for a good hour, and it kind of like some weird light went off in my head, and I was like, man, look at these dudes, like these 300 Spartans. I was like, if there were collectible cards, if there was collectible assets of like the Greek world, these like 300 Spartans, they would be like the hologram cards of like the set, right? Like they would be like the most valuable, and why was that? Like because they were fighting for something, they were putting something on the line, there was something at risk. And that really had like a close dynamic to the collectible nature of these things. Like the investment risk that you guys throw down when you purchase one of these things, the belief system that you put into it. So I should have went to sleep right there, but I didn't. I put on another favorite film, a longer film, Gladiator.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't have to watch these films, guys. I know all of them cover to cover, right? Mad Max, Thunderdome, Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah.
Every single thing that you guys see influenced in this product is like at the heart of who I am, and the things that I'm interested in. And there it was, the light bulb went off for me, and I said, like, what makes something really truly collectible that isn't present in the space yet? Like why would I buy something and feel really succinct that what I'm purchasing is going to be valuable someday if everyone else just gets to keep theirs forever? And again, the life that was being put on the line in these films, like the fight for glory, the fight to rise from the bottom to the top, that Rocky story, right? Just like your collectibles, like the reason that you have an X-Men comic that's in great condition and it's worth a lot more is because everybody's grandmother that wasn't yours threw theirs out 30, 40 years ago when she was cleaning her garage, right? So it was in that burning mechanic, in that death mechanic, just like these gladiators that were going out and dying on the battlefield. That was the key for me. How can we make a game where, you have these assets and they're collectible and they have a story behind them and they're these living, breathing things. Well, you can't have a living, breathing thing that you believe in unless it has the chance to actually die, put its life on the line, right? And we built the concept around that spectacle, that concept of burning. And again, you guys all have Prime Eternals. Those are eternal. They're never going to die, right? Because that is the aspiration of the game, Champions Ascension. When the game actually begins, the aspiration for most players in the game is going to be Ascend, is to take that pathway from the bottom to the top. Again, the Rocky story, the Maximus story from Gladiator. How do I get to be just a lowly no-name whatever and ascend to godhood in the Colosseum? And that's really where the game began. I laid that concept down, sold it, really internally, got people to believe in it, as is my, reputation. And then I planted the seeds of creativity in all the rest of the team's mind. And then quite frankly, let them add to it. And it's been added to every day. And as we've added you guys in the community and put the primes in your hands, you guys have added even more ideas to that pot, to that original seed. And we're just growing a forest now. I mean, that's kind of how and where we're at.
Nice.
That's the story of the beginning of Champions Ascension.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think you spoke to a lot of our hearts when you were talking about Gladiator and 300 and Mad Max. So love to hear that. I did, kind of following up on that, and with this shift to blockchain technology and Web3, in your NFT LA interview, or one of them, the one that I could find, you talked about how Jam City is having to do a hard shift from what you're used to, which is a more slow and, I don't want to say stable because fast isn't always unstable, but this slower, more complete project sort of development pathway to Web3, which is more iterative, a little bit quicker, right? You do have people up, as you've said, up in your shit, asking you what's going on, when. How has that transition been, for you as one of the higher ups in the company? Has that been a hard transition? What have been kind of the thoughts rolling around with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, maybe for me personally, because I like to be in the mix, it's actually been really exciting. I think honestly, when there's a market shift and there's a significant change to anything about how you're going to do business, a lot of people, whether it's business or life, right? There's two types of people, right? You might guys find this funny. Again, there's influence in everything we do, right? I often refer to the two types of people in the world as key masters and gatekeepers, right? Those happen to be two of our types of champions, right?
Yep, I know them.
And key masters, right? Exactly. They kind of are ready. They want to unlock every door. They want to keep moving forward. And gatekeepers kind of want to just keep everything hey, hold the fort, right? Let's fucking. They're a little bit resistant to that change, and again, for me, I fall more into the key master side of that. Where I'm trying to move forward and take a little bit of what was there, the great learnings from the past, and put them forward, and bring them forward. For us as a company, I think whenever you're starting in a new market, it's a lot different. We're coming from free to play, which is very much an evolved business model right now. It's a very, very mature space. There's literally a million games that were developed in the last several years. The way that the business model works is very evolved. There hasn't been a lot of crazy movement in the last year or two, and really in the last 6 months, it's kind of, it's very slow moving right now, right? There's just less, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. It's still going to be an amazing business model. It's still going to last forever, just like the console business, just like the PC business, just like all these businesses. But all of these businesses eventually reach an apex where, there's not a lot necessarily more for them to do in their current state. And then what has to happen? Well, they have to evolve. For us, Web3 is the natural evolution. It presents a million challenges. I think, one of the things that you're referencing specifically, outside of the stuff I've already mentioned, one of the biggest challenges that I think you're going to see a lot of developers be challenged with when they come into this space, specifically the ones that are coming from free-to-play, and premium games as well, but specifically free-to-play. It's like a lot of those developers, I think, are going to look at this and go, hey, guess what? Here's what you do. Here's how you make a successful game. You take a typical free-to-play economy, right, which is quote unquote a closed loop economy or a closed network economy, and you just shove NFTs in it, right, and some tokens, and you're all good. And I think that certainly can work for a little while. As you guys have seen with Axie, it worked pretty well at first. But the big difference between this kind of economy, or excuse me, I should say this type of a game and a free-to-play game is, in a free-to-play game, as I mentioned, it's a closed-loop economy. You guys cannot remove those assets from that game, right? So your time investment, your money that goes into that game, whatever your favorite free-to-play game is, it's there, it's trapped there, it ain't coming out, okay? In Web3, as you guys have seen, especially in the last week where people are selling off every fucking thing they have, those assets are liquid. So it presents this really interesting challenge to really land an economy. So, as you guys see our white paper, you see multiple tokens in there. You see allusions to a lot of things that aren't even there yet. And the reality is that's because I think we have looked beyond that and we said, we can't deliver a closed loop economy type system for a game like this. We need to consistently layer on new things, new loops, new metas, new, because that's the only way that you guys are going to, once you top out, so to speak, or you advance something to a certain point, where do you go? Well, you have two choices. You can not make good on your investment, or you can roll your investment into another project. We have a thesis of saying, like, no, we'd rather provide a new funnel, a new activity, a new thing in our game to roll your investment into that, right? And then keep going and keep going and keep going.
So then, go ahead if you had another point.
No, that's the point.
So that the way I'm thinking about it is, so you've been in game development for 20 years, right? And it used to be you will complete the game and you'll set it out there and the game is finished. And, we played Super Mario Part 1. We're waiting for Super Mario Part 2. So in something like this and Web3 and on the blockchain, you're saying the game will constantly, even after it's launched, will be even developed more, even while we're playing? Is that something you're thinking of?
100%. So I'll make this statement, and if you take anything away from my long-winded response, this game will never stop being developed or iterated upon. Right? It's a living universe. It's it's like when you hear people refer to the metaverse, right? What the fuck does that actually mean? Well, to us, it means that it's a universe that will continue to evolve. Right? It will continue to progress and evolve. It will shift and change. It will always stay true to what it is, but new things will be layered on top of it to allow it to continue to grow, because growth is the only real way for anything to continue to stay relevant in this space. When you guys have liquid assets that you can take and cash out essentially and put them somewhere else, like, what is the benefit for you guys to stay in the game and continue earning in our game? Continue earning with us in Champions Ascension? Well, you got to have new stuff to engage with all the time. And that's going to be the key to any of these projects that I think want to achieve success in the future. you're already seeing this, with some of the top projects, right? Like, right now, again, you can look at a game like Axie, and you can feel very confident when you see that, well, 95% of the player base there isn't really actively playing the game because they enjoy it. They're playing it because it's a play to earn game. They're in a way, they're just employing other people to play it for them, to mine their assets for them, right? That's all well and good until the next better opportunity comes along, right? For them. If they're not really enjoying their time there, they're just going to pull those assets and put them into the next better investment opportunity. That's how investments work. They're kind of blind. What I love about you guys and this community is that we are building a game. Like, I've seen a lot of comments like that. Like, yeah, this is a game. It's a brand. It's a universe that you're also going to be able to play and earn. So, that's our goal, is for you guys to have fun, to really get into this, to love it, to want to be a part of it, versus just looking at it as, another way to make $5, right?
It's all about the game mechanics, and having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, we have a sketch up. You mentioned you're a key master, and you like to move forward, expose some leaks and stuff. So we have a sketch up, and I was wondering if you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, guys, I kind of went. I asked Ice Toad. I said, look, I'm going on the Prime Minds. These guys are amazing. Want to basically share with them and their audience a little bit of the alpha, and I don't want to steal too much of his thunder, because he and the team have an extension of this that will be coming this week. You guys will see on Thursday, right? A little bit more of the fuller side of this, but I wanted to kind of share this with you guys right now. Is we've alluded to it in the past. I've talked about all of it here. We're building the combat module. That is always going to be the center attraction in the universe of Massina. It's going to be kind of that central, nexus point for all the activities to kind of center around. But beyond that, you guys saw this a little bit with the video that was leaked the week prior to this one. Yeah, we're building a fully 3D immersive world. And we're building call it what you will, call it an MMO, call it a sandbox, call it whatever the fuck you want, right? Like, it is going to be a fully immersive 3D world where you're going to be able to take your characters around, walk, interact with people in a social environment, do transactions, navigate through the world, and that world, as I mentioned, will also always be building. So what we're working on right now, and this is going to be, hopefully arriving sooner than later, maybe even sooner than some of you guys could imagine, is and we refer to it internally, but I like this, so I'll even throw it out externally. It's called a slice of Massina, because you guys are all in love with pizza. So this is in the gaming business, we call vertical slice, right? That's kind of like, that one nice stood up, part of the game that's like, hey, this will really give them a taste of what this is going to potentially be like. So we're building a slice of Massina right now, which is going to kind of be the first, navigatable, immersed 3D part of the world. And one of the places that you're going to be able to kind of explore and interact with and go into in that slice of Massina is going to be the Sleeping Carcadon Tavern, which we've lovingly referred to in the lore many, many times. It's kind of, this place of intrigue, of commerce, of socialization, of mini games, where champions and at first primes are going to kind of be able to go and take a look at. So what you're looking at here is one of the first pencils, the concept art for this. This is kind of the exterior, right, of that place, the Sleeping Carcadon. And then, we also have one other image that we kind of brought in to show you guys a little bit more internally of what's going on there, a little bit more of an extended color concept. This is all being built right now by a fantastically talented team. I won't go into too much of what you guys see in there. I'll let you guys kind of speculate and do what you do. But again, this is going to be one of those first locations that players are going to be able to go and walk around in and interact in.
Wow, alpha
Looks
drop
amazing.
on the Prime Minds. Yeah, and we have it right now showed on the YouTube. The pictures of the building, the structures, the art is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I just on that I just want to call out like all of the fine details. Again, just to me, like that speaks to the grandeur and the level of world building that's going into this game, right? Like the windows have personality, right? All the fine details in there. So I just want to call that out. I think it's so cool. I'm stoked on this. Thank you for sharing, Johnny.
No problem, guys. Yeah, this is exciting. Like I said, you're gonna get a little bit more. You're gonna get a little bit more of this on Thursday. I think the team is really hustling right now. They're crushing it. They're working really, really, really hard on this stuff, guys, to put in that extra detail. Because it's one thing to lay concept art, and I think like concept art, you can always, we have some fantastic people, right? Some of the best there is, and then to bring this into 3D is another, it's another endeavor in and of itself. But again, that's you guys have seen a little bit of it with some of the stuff prior, and you're going to see a little bit more this week, and you'll continue to see this world evolve. I mean, that's one of the biggest differences too. I think AAA like people are like, well, it's AAA quality. It's like this is not AAA yet. I've seen some of those comments. It's like, yeah, absolutely, it's not AAA yet, but in many ways it is, because we're letting you guys in because you're partners in this project into the development process with us, right? So this is not your typical premium style development where we're going to go into a cave for 7 years. And half a quarter of $1 billion later come out with a fully fucking polished perfect thing right out of the gates. Like, we're gonna kind of get it to you guys as soon as it's available. We're gonna make you guys part of the process. We're gonna take you guys along for that adventure, because again, this is one of the interesting evolutions of this new style of game development. I think it's an affordance that you guys are given based on your investment and your interest and being partners in the development. Because again, when you guys see this stuff, we're really listening to what you have to say, right?
Yeah.
You guys can tell. You guys can feel free to tell us, like, hey, this is cool, but this would be better, or this is terrible. These are the kinds of things that we want to hear, because quite frankly, in the old way of doing things, you kind of just had to roll the dice or use data or doing this. You guys are our data right now. You guys are our mechanism, to validate what we're doing together. So don't be afraid to speak up and tell us, guys, this is fucking great. More of this. This is amazing. Or look, this is not what I was hoping for. Like, this is the feedback that we really appreciate.
Wow.
And want to hear.
Real-time feedback, right? Like some real-time focus group. And that's, even when we started this podcast, we thought we kind of thought that would come in handy. Thought that would be a tool that the developers can use, just really speaking their mind. And yeah, we love doing it. So here, and then, we're always in a Discord, so we will lift up some of the concerns or questions that folks have in the Discord, other Prime Eternal holders. Speaking of that, the Sprite Remix is watching on YouTube. He's watching live, and he has a question about the the way we're explaining the game is that it's a process that's iterative, always getting better, always moving forward, expanding, making new and interesting things. But of course, in order to accomplish that, Jam City has to have a stake in that too, as a company, for-profit company, right? Jam City has to pay the bills. We understand that the players will earn through staking, accumulating Massina essence, the different tokens, forging items, participating in the in-game economy. Where's Jam's City's end in that? Where does their you as a company on Jam City's behalf, how do you all keep that going for yourselves and keep this thing going?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's multiple. I think there's multiple revenue streams that we're putting together. I think some of the most basic ones you guys are probably already aware of, in the sense that when you guys complete a sale or a transaction, whether it be one of the assets themselves or even one of the tokens or any of those kinds of things, there's some of that kind of makes its way transactionally to Jam City, and I think I'm totally fine saying that, because that's how a lot of these projects are working. I think though, beyond that, we have much bigger plans for this, right? It's like that's the basics, like that's the stand up, that's like the stand up kind of revenue that we hope to make and reinvest, of course, back into the project and building more and building further. Yeah. But again, I've mentioned that we're trying to build a brand. So you guys see some of the lore and some of the things we're doing. The reason we're putting so much effort into that and trying to really make that appealing to you guys is that we feel that, based on, where we're going with some of this, there's other ways to skin a cat here, right? There's other revenue streams that are non-traditional to free-to-play gaming or even premium style gaming that maybe not even gaming, right? Where these characters, these stories, they can extend themselves in different ways to different types of products, to different types of things. You guys, of course, as holders, have some stake in that as well. Right. And that's all I'll say, right now. But the idea is like, I'm like, I think you guys are awesome. I think but it's another thing. Like, if I just spent 5, 6, 7 days writing a pretty epic conclusion to a storyline I've been working on. Like, I'd be lying if I said that, we just want that to kind of end up on the pages of a Medium article only, right? The idea there is to continue to, look into the appropriate partnerships that are going to make Champions Ascension kind of build out further from its original seed into different types of experiences across the board.
So some IP, of course, right? If you're building out the story and the lore, a lot of the IP moving forward, and you just said it, that's in the holder's interest as well, because we have the NFTs that the story and the lore is based around. And so, yeah, that sounds amazing to me. And of course, the basic way, it's taking some of the revenue or kind of the tolls in the game itself, right? Just to be able to put back into the game and keep it going. But yeah, the IP, the story, the lore, and finding different revenue streams off of I think that's great for everybody. Yeah, sounds amazing.
And I like the idea that you're adding to the game as you go on, because I don't know if you play Call of Duty a lot. They have really done a good job at doing something like that. They've Warzone in specific, where they have like different events. Like right now they have like a King Kong versus Godzilla thing going on, and that's super fun. Are you guys planning to do stuff like that? Like, I know we've had like the Rebel event, and maybe actually creating that Rebel event inside the game?
Yeah, so man, what a great question. Sorry, this is gonna be another semi-complex answer, because it's really three things, right? It's at least from what we can see, it's three things. So what you're talking about is live events, and live events are 100% the bread and butter of what we call live operations. It's a way to keep the game feeling alive, right? Call of Duty does this, Fortnite does this, all of our free-to-play titles do this in some capacity, where we're going to drop something that's very topical, very of the moment, very time sensitive, that's happening right now, and there's going to be some special rules that apply to it, and it's going to evolve the story in some way, but it's going to be, very, very timely. I think, 100% that is something that once the game goes live, we will be regularly doing. I think we will also be adding, quote unquote, modules to the core project, though. And that's something you don't necessarily see in premium game development or even live title development, or you see it very infrequently, where it's not really a live event, but like, boom, there's another whole section of the world, right? Boom, there's another whole, part to participate in. You typically refer to these in premium development as expansion packs, right? Like, hey, we're going to, that's not an expansion pack for us. That's like literally like an update to the game. That's how we're going to look at it. So I think we're going to be doing both of those things. I think what makes it really exciting in Web3, though, and how we're going to Web3ify, if that's a word, that our development for this type of stuff, that again, you guys are going to be a part of that, and we're going to try to find really unique and creative ways to incorporate that. So when we have the game itself, of course, yeah, a lot of those live events are going to dictate certain things, right? Like, as an example, King Kong versus Godzilla, we have Titans in the world of Massina, right? Like, maybe the Titans appear, and maybe some of you decide to align yourselves with a certain Titan versus another Titan. And depending on who the winner of that battle of the Titans is, that may have ramifications on the world for a long period of time, right? It may redefine, what a part of the map looks like to a certain degree. And that's going to be based on your actions in the game as a community and as individuals. I think until we get there, and I'll put a little plug in for this ARG really unique event that we have coming up here with Captain Chris and writer Ryan, and a lot of the rest of the writing staff has contributed to this. You guys are going to be able to play an ARG right now, which is going to be a little bit more of a tabletop, over the air, interactive Dungeons and Dragons style campaign, in which your adventure and your decision making along that adventure as a community is going to have, the decisions that you guys make are going to have ramifications on some of the storyline that we're actually going to evolve in the game, and this is going to have an impact on where some of the characters in the stories that you guys have read, like where they fall in that story, right? And in the experience that's going to be coming for the larger product. That's unique. I mean, that to me is exciting as shit. I've never seen anything like that done. That's full interactive development. As far as I know, nobody else is necessarily looking at it like that way. So I think it's really unique to this project. Something I'm very proud of as the head of design for the company. You guys get to be designers with us. You guys get to be players and designers, with us in this, and that's pretty fucking cool.
That is that's very Web3. That is awesome. Yeah, I think so. You mentioned a little bit of the game development and in the game itself, and you gave us a lot of alpha right now. And this doesn't have to be set in stone, but we know that the arena is going to be a main draw. One of the main things that we can do in the game, the fighting. PvP in the arena. What other type of game modes are you all discussing that you might have in mind that we might be able to play coming up in the future?
Yeah.
It could be high level stuff, Johnny. You don't even have to be too specific. What are the examples like?
So you guys might imagine, like, again, I've referenced the group of individuals we have. They're super creative people. Their experience in gaming spans the gamut. Between all of us, we've made we've made a lot of different types of stuff, guys. Like, so what we have, I'm fine talking about this. Like, we have what I would call kind of our brainstorm sheet, right, for game modules and different types of experiences. And these are really short kind of burst ideas. It's filled, guys. It's filled and filled and filled. We've had meetings and meetings and meetings now about how to prioritize this list. Really,
yeah.
Because there's so many good things on there, and there's so many things we want to do right now that, it's hard for us to pick. So, one of the things that actually assists us a little bit, as I've mentioned many times, we're listening to you guys. So when we see little suggestions, or we see, surveys go out to this community, and we see you guys go like, hey, it'd be really cool, a card game, or in the tavern, or a dice game. Okay, cool. Or I put in the lore story, right? An idea about, I don't know, more of a Fall Guys style, mixed with a little Mortal Kombat, of course, death race, to the finish line with champions. That's a Coliseum event. When we're throwing that stuff out there, yeah, those are ideas that we have, but we're kind of teasing them and putting them in front of you guys in a way. And your feedback, as I've said multiple times, really helps us prioritize that massive list. So, the larger answer to your question, what do you guys want to play? What do you guys want to play?
Everything.
Right? That's kind of how we look at it. We'll find a way to make it work. We'll find a way to make your assets valuable in the experience. We'll find a way for it to be incentivized to drive back to the center economy. I mean, obviously, we don't want to break our focus too much, right? The battle is crucial. Having that core experience, it's going to be very visually pleasing. It's going to be very shareable, the battle sections, right? And anytime you see a fighting game, one of the things that's really interesting for me, I'm a fighting game fan. I've been playing fighting games my whole life. And probably, Mortal Kombat is a massive, massive inspiration for me in almost all of everything. I love that brand. I always have. And one of the things that's very special about that brand is, it's just highly marketable. It's so visual. Like when you see two guys or two characters just pounding on each other in a way that it's like you don't need to explain that to any audience. Like, there's a gaming audience, there's a crypto audience, there's the general population audience. Like a fight reads, right? And we really are focusing heavily on that right now from a gameplay standpoint. But yeah, it's easy to get distracted with this crew, man. You guys have heard it all: fishing, card games, dice games, tavern games.
Someone put boat racing.
I mean, there's definitely going to be no shortage of opportunities with the way that we're packaging lore. I mean, a lot of the value that we get from the lore also is some of the spark of inspiration behind this stuff. Honestly, like little things like hardcore crabs or something like that. Like that's something that I wrote, at 4 a.m. in the middle of the night, penning one of the first stories I did. And you guys responded to it and thought, oh, this is cool, right? And then all of a sudden we developed an actual fucking character for it. And, there'll be a mini game and it'll be a pet and we'll have a mini game for it, right? Like that's the other kind of thing we get with the lore is we seed a little bit of that interesting stuff, see what resonates, and then we come up with a more fully featured plan for it. This is all the fun of this style.
John, you gave us a lot of great stuff, and I'm going to go back and listen to this a few times over. One more thing, man. If one thing that got me, and I think I talk about this every week, but really excited about this game. I think you and I are from the same generation. I'm on the cusp of millennial Gen X, and I remember SimCity coming out and doing the land thing, developing the land. Is there anything you can talk about in terms of land, how that gameplay will go, the cool things that you all talk about, what your vision is for the players as it has to do with the land part of the game?
Yes. Without giving too much away, because again, this is a lot of this really comes into Zero Cool's part of the business, and he will give us like the parameters for what's going to make sense for you guys, right, as investors, and then we will put an interesting creative palette on top of it, or piece of work on top of it. But what I can tell you is, again, this is a Web3 project, right? So, if you've played MMOs in the past, some of the really fun dynamics there are, at least some of the better games, right? They allow players to own a piece of that world, and develop, a little bit of an enterprise, so to speak, on that, on their imprint in the world, if you will. And you guys are going to be able to do that in the Coliseum with your champions, right? And I think that's going to really speak to a certain percentage of the population that's going to play this game, and that's going to be enough for them. They're going to want to go in there and just be the best and kill everybody and, and do all that. And then I think there's going to be this whole other aspect to it. Players that really want to facilitate, and grow an empire in the game or an enterprise as an investment, both from an investment side and a fantasy, standpoint. I'm building out the metaverse, if you will. So, if you look at some of the things that we've alluded to in the lore, right, there's this place called the Ministry of Bone. There's obviously a bustling marketplace in Massina. There's all of these different types of, ecosystems that we're kind of alluding to. And the idea with land really is for it to be a piece of the world that a player can essentially own, and they can customize, and they can also build, let's just say, competitive enterprise there. And they can specialize, or they can do a more of a measured approach. But ultimately, the idea there is for players that aren't, whether you're interested in the battle or not, for people that want to really more have a namesake of a mercantile approach, that want to be known as craftsmen, that want to be known as, great businessmen, there's going to be really this larger aspect of the game for you where, you can really spend your whole day figuring out what the best breed, way to breed is to produce the best type of a champion. Or you can find the best way, and specialize in how to produce the best type of, swords, or the best type of, armor, or whatever. And I think that's what's going to really get certain types of players excited. And of course, it's going to also open up new, as I mentioned before, new places to put your money and your investment and grow your portfolio in the game.
That's what I'm there for.
Wow.
Build an empire.
Yep. Prime Minds Empire. I think we're going to get together and find a little neighborhood.
Maybe we can get a Prime Minds podcast booth in the arena, broadcasting.
Well, that's right.
Yup. Johnny, you gave us a lot. Go ahead.
So wait a second, King. But I couldn't hear. I think it was by the dip. Somebody just said Prime Minds podcast. I don't want. I've been on a while, but again, you guys are amazing. And the reason I'm spending so much time with you guys is A, you're awesome, but B, like, that is the exact sentiment that I think you guys and everybody else who listens in here and everybody who wants to be a part of this should take away from it, is that this is, you as investors, you as holders, I think everybody's just waiting for us maybe to just pop and put out this or put out that, and then all of a sudden the price is going to go up. I think, like, for those of you that love it, and I think those are fly-by-night kind of people, but for those of you that love it, that are really into it, that want to see this be, you guys are already doing this. And innovation that you guys bring to the table to put this brand out there, to build business, to build enterprise around it. And you see this happening with, like, some of the Bored Ape stuff, and, holders really using those assets in a unique way to kind of facilitate their own, advancement, but also the projects. I cannot understate, like, how valuable it is. That is that special sauce that I talked about in the beginning of the call that makes this, a really interesting prospect for me as a developer, but also as a participant. The kind of thing that you just mentioned is exactly the kind of stuff that we would love to help facilitate and continue to grow upon. So it's up to you guys. Like, bring your ideas, bring your amazing innovation, bring your entrepreneurship into this universe, however you guys think about it. We're willing to listen. We want to listen. We're excited to partner with you on it.
Man, this is fantastic. Johnny, as we round this out, man, we see that, the Prime Minds, we look into folks that are coming out, of course. We see that you spent a little bit of time in Florida. And also, we know Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's from Florida, too. Did you have a meeting or run-in with him you can share with us? Yeah,
man. So I went to the University of Miami. So did The Rock. The Rock, I have to tell you guys, I have a little bit of a joke on there where I took a punch from him, but
he seems like a great guy. I can't picture The Rock doing that, right? What is this?
He is. It's all tongue in cheek. He is absolutely one of the nicest guys in the world in person. I really mean that. Like, he's a genuine. He's a super nice guy. He is a massive hulking badass. I'd love to get him in Champions one day. He is a perfect example of the inspiration that goes into our gladiatorial mindset into this game. But yeah, I've obviously met him, and I've been fortunate. I've actually met a bunch of wrestlers, and WWF and WWE of old is also a big inspiration for me in the way we think about this. And again, I mentioned her name before, but Kim Hamilton, who used to write for the WWE, has joined our writing team to help us bring that drama, as well as we build those fight cards up. And we're really trying to do something special with all that going forward.
Right. And then also, one thing that we just can't stop thinking about, prime minds, probably a lot of people, what's with this cake that Zero Cool got? We might need to get Zero Cool in on here. Who sent him a cake? What flavor was it? Did you send him a cake? What's that about?
I didn't send him a cake. Maybe I throw a cake. Maybe I throw a cake at him. But no. He. I don't know. How come nobody sent me a fucking cake? How about that? Like that's what I'm gonna ask back.
I was instantly hungry. I'm like, damn, I want some cake right now too. Zero, what's going on here? No, man. Look, we appreciate it. I thank you, the Prime Minds. Thank you for creating what we think is the perfect game, the perfect idea. I had a lot of the same inspirations growing up, and I was thinking if there was a game on Web3, it would look exactly like this. And then I seen Champions Ascension, and I was just so excited, and I still am. Prime Minds, got anything else?
I just honestly think you guys are the first blue chip NFT company. No one knows how to scale like you guys. I understand we have Axis and we have these other projects that have hype behind it, but the thing that brought me to you guys the most is you guys know how to scale, and you guys know how to scale big. You've made games for Disney, and I know Disney just doesn't let anybody make a game. I'm pretty sure you guys had to go through a rigorous process to do that. So for me, my standpoint, I'm a value investor, and I just see so much value in this company.
Me too. Vita, one last word. What do you want to tell the Johnny?
Yeah, this is Vita. I'm just taking it in, man. This has been an awesome conversation. Lots of passion floating around everywhere. So I really just appreciate the time with us, Johnny. Yeah, just looking forward to this iterative process of the Champions World.
Right. Gonzaga, you got anything while we go?
Yeah, I saw the Ice Toad comment, the cake is a lie. I know where that's from. But
what is that?
It's from Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I get bombarded on Twitter by all kinds of NFT projects, and approached on LinkedIn with new NFT projects. They want a Unity developer to come help them make their thing. And all I'm saying is my eyes are only on Champions Ascension. I just ignore everything else, and I'm in it to win. So,
only got eyes for you, Johnny. Last word, man. You got the floor. What do you want to tell to the community?
No, I really want to first thank you guys for letting me come on, and also want to let the community know too before I address them. Like, hey, these Prime Minds, man, they're one of the most fun things for me when I listen in is, they love to speculate, and I happen to be one of the guys that knows if their speculation is on point or off the mark, and I can tell the community their speculation is pretty good, pretty close to
I feel like it is.
Pretty close to target. So you guys, anybody out there who kind of wants to speculate in a wave pattern in the right capacity should continue to listen in here. But at large, beyond that, again, it's going to be a great summer for us guys. We're going to continue to build. We're going to continue to share. We are really, really going to do everything we can to get this game, even in pieces, to you as soon as possible, and we see that again as a benefit, not a detriment. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your feedback. We can adapt. We can continue to grow it over time, but we can only do that, if you guys give us that opportunity and tell us what you like and what you don't like as it comes in. And again, as partners in that, that's something that we really want to see from you guys. So again, thank you guys for having me come on. It's awesome to talk with you guys. Awesome to interact with you in the Discord, and I can't wait to share more with you guys as the months go on.
Johnny, please come on again. We do this every Saturday. So thanks for the plug, man. Yeah. Everyone listening, we're going to be on here every Saturday. We're going to bring some devs on, or we're just going to talk some shit amongst ourselves. Either way, it's worth tuning in. Johnny, appreciate you for coming on. And with that, we're wrapping this, which is the 8th show. We'll see you for number 9 next Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And as you all know, prime minds think alike. Peace.